Okay, okay.
Right.
Testing. We are good. I'm so sorry, guys. That was really weird. Apparently, our computer force restarted in the middle of the stream. Might need to defrag or debug this thing and figure out why it would do that.
Yep.
It's pretty dumb. I'm sure like a huge portion of you guys left, but hopefully a bunch of you stuck around too. Unfortunately, what that also means is this is going to segment the video into separate streams because technically it turns off streaming once OBS crashes with the rest of the computer and stuff like that. But we'll get back into Season 3 predictions once we've got everything back and good to go. All right. Wow. Yeah, huge portion of people left. 45 people. Oh man. I mean, we haven't looked back at the dashboard in a while, so it doesn't really tell us how many people people are gone there. But okay. Cool. All right, people starting to creep back in. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys. Our computer crashed midstream. Weird stuff. Talking with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people left. That's, you know, crazy stuff.
But back to Season 3 predictions. So, if you notice, the whole thing that I was talking about with the having things at the end of Season 2 that is, like, leading up into Season 3.
Right.
All for One technically is a part of that, too.
He is.
They brought him up very late in Season 2.
Very late. I think it was episode 20.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which means that he might be a big player in Season 3, like actual player, not just behind the scenes.
I think you could have him be a big player, though, from behind the scenes. The way you could do it is they've been diametrically opposing Shigaraki and Deku a little bit, but what they do is they just escalate that by having there be a very direct correlation between the relationship between Shigaraki and All For One and then Deku and All Might, and keep having that clash throughout Season 3. And have it done in such a way to where we're not missing out on as much as we would if he was actually like more directly involved with things.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and All For One with regards to who he is, what he represents, what his powers are, what he can do, what his plan, his goals are, and all that. I feel like his character feels like they want to make him personal. But he's also the character with the magnanimous, like, impersonal goals of destroying hero society or what have you. But when they actually get into, like, okay, this is what his character's all about, I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit more personal than we would have thought.
Sure.
Because he has basically a direct relationship with All Might based not only on previous encounters, but like the fact that All Might's predecessors was his brother. Yeah, was his brother, and they've been basically weaving their own story with the One for All legacy versus All For One.
That would be such a cool episode to basically have like a recap sort of episode where it's basically showing the history of the brothers and all the previous One for All holders as they like keep trying again and again and keep, you know, probably getting killed and stuff like that.
You know, I don't want to port fire on that really cool idea.
But
pour water on that fire, but I really hope that doesn't happen this season. There is very little, I think, that would warrant it.
Maybe Season 4.
Okay. I really hope it happens in that we get more context for the conflict, but we don't really need that until we know what All For One's motivations are.
Sure.
And once we get All For One's motivations, then you know we can have that kind of a contextual
Right, because
flashback.
Because the way they can make it personal right now is only really through All Might.
Right.
And the way that they can make it personal for All Might isn't really because of him knowing All for One personally, but because of the things that All for One has done, like, for instance, killing the previous One for All holder, and the sense of duty that All Might would have to defeat him because of, the past lives of this avatar.
Right. Right.
Speaking of which, do you think they'll get into that in Season 3?
Oh, the whole past lives aspect.
Because they did establish that connection.
Yes, I think that they could go a little bit into, like, kind of how Roku was a part of Aang's journey. We should go into the past life for All Might. And since they teased her a little bit, I think that she might be somewhat involved in Season 3.
That's true. And they did bring it back up at the very end of Season 2 with that whole thing of, like, but once All Might, showed up on the scene, he's never failed to save a person. Then All Might has that look.
But I don't think that literally, I don't think that directly tied into the previous One for All holder.
Oh, that's what I always figured it was. The idea.
But it's not. The idea that when confirmed, you're inferring that based on supposition.
Yes, absolutely. But, like, who else could it be? Like,
a lot of people. Like, I think that's the point. Is that there's a lot of people that All Might has had to, like, probably not save.
Sure.
And I think the idea is that it's one of the sore spots of his character. There are probably specific ones, yes, that you're probably right about that. But whether or not they're...
In general.
Yeah, whether or not they're talking about specifics or in general there, good question.
Yeah.
It's not 100% sure.
The reason I think they're talking about specifics is because they had just been previously talking about in general, like... Are there times when you can't save everybody? He's like, yeah, right now there's people that I can't save, but that's why I'm the symbol of peace, so that I can be there even when I'm not there, right?
Right.
So when they went into that, like,
then then they are trying to point at some specific person that All Might couldn't save or didn't save.
Right. Ooh.
But whether or not it's anyone that we could know about, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it just seems very convenient because the only person we really know about from All Might's past that we haven't actually met, like that's still that isn't alive right now, is the previous All for One or One for All holder.
Okay, I don't think it has to be someone from All Might's past though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think that it's ambiguous enough that we will find out what that was about in Season 3.
Yes.
But can we guess on that one? No, I think we can guess on some much more interesting things, like the 1A students. I think that the story will almost be entirely focused on the 1A students.
Yeah.
In Season 3. I feel like this is the time where they can double down on what makes the tournament so effective. Since it was a Class 1A fest, basically. It's just all of them there, except, like, Sue...
Mineta,
Dupla Arms.
Like, there were a bunch of people that weren't actually in the final tournament, but...
Right, but most of the main Class 1A characters were there.
Yeah.
And having them be important to the story of Season 3 will be... I think it'll be the main focus. And going into maybe some of their underdeveloped characters a little bit more would be really good.
Okay.
But then having some really, like, tough dynamics between them within the context of the war that's coming between villains and heroes as a whole.
Yeah, because that is going to be a huge focus of Season 3.
Right, but
war is coming.
But that's the other thing. They're Class 1A, meaning they're the first years and stuff. So what part do they even play within the grander conflict?
Right.
I could see them, if anything, actually getting involved in things that they shouldn't be getting involved in.
That's their motto.
Yes, well, at least it's Deku's, and I think that's where maybe if they do get attacked, which I think they will, if they get attacked within that little training kind of summer part, why were they attacking Class 1A as opposed to any other group of, like, kid heroes? I think it has to be Deku.
Well, also, in season 3, why are they going to be attacking
season 3?
1A? Yeah, it's probably going to be Deku.
And I don't think it's going to be a petty thing of like Shigaraki being like, I hate that kid, go kill him.
Right, it's either going to be that they figure out like, wait a minute, this might be All Might's successor.
Do you think that All For One already knows? I think he does.
I think he does too. Yeah, because
I think that based on this whole season 2 stuff, he now knows. Because the tournament was made public for everyone.
Well, it was made public for everyone, but not just that. I'm guessing when All Might went to fight All For One the first time,
right?
This might not be the case, but I think he went there with the previous One For All holder.
I don't think it makes sense for him not to. So
exactly.
I think you're right.
So from that, he might be able to. I would think he'd be able to piece it together.
Right, he would know what a weakened One For All user looks like.
And then he'd be like, hey, that Deku person, like, what's up with that?
They've suddenly come into the limelight of the hero world where All Might is now teaching at.
And All Might seems to be taking an interest in them specifically.
Well, we don't know
how
much
public
of
that is.
That is, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I think it's mostly just in the feedback he's gotten from Shigaraki, the stuff that's made public, and him actually viewing Deku through, whatever means he has. I think he knows. I think he's going to maybe give Shigaraki a hint, maybe a thing, because at the end of season 2, All For One kind of talks about how he's going to let Shigaraki just do what he wants, kind of let him roam free, and he's not really going to be overseeing him too much.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's trying to groom Shigaraki, not just in the physical sense of making him maybe ready to pass on All For One to Shigaraki, but groom him like mentally, make him able to learn. Hence why he's not actually interfering, he's letting Shigaraki do his own thing.
Yeah, and then he said, like, if he needs saving, I'll help him.
Yeah, I'll step in.
I'll step in. And I feel like that's where All For One will step in, is that Shigaraki will get in over his head.
And he'll be like, Kurogiri, port me in.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. How do they have, like, a... Well, that's one of the questions I always had was, does Kurogiri know his position? I feel like that's one of the things where... Kurogiri has a portal quirk. That's why he would know his position, so that he could portal All For One to wherever he needs him.
Yes.
But I also feel like that's also a security risk for All For One, because then
he doesn't want Kurogiri to be able
portal
to just
anyone else
to him.
Yeah. So
and that might be the whole reason why he tells Kurogiri to stick by Shigaraki at all times, because he can get Shigaraki out of pretty much anything.
Oh, here's a crazy thing about his quirk I didn't think about.
What?
His power is kind of like quirk manipulation, basically. All For One's.
Sure.
It's basically like that. What if he could control other people's quirks to some extent? Where he basically just grabs, like, a hold of the quirk itself and is like, use it, and then, like, the portal is made. Like, he basically has some kind of, like, key. I'm thinking about the kind of things that All For One could do with, like, having unlimited access to all the quirks of the world for over 200 years or so, and just gathering a suite of quirks for himself.
Sure,
that's actually a good point. Should we go into some quirks that we think he'll have?
Yeah, well, he won't have invisibility.
He won't have invisibility.
Quirk blocking.
He won't have quirk blocking, or he won't have energy absorption and redirection.
Yeah.
I'm tired of villains having that superpower.
Yeah,
I think that his things will be a thing where he'll basically have assembled all the quirks so that he can do really, like, devastating combinations of things.
Sure. I would say the biggest clue we have to what All For One has is by looking at his lieutenants and seeing what they have. Anything that they have, he probably doesn't have.
Yeah.
So, like Kurogiri's portals, right? He probably doesn't... His probably big limiting factor is that he doesn't have a way to move around.
Yes, so I think that he probably has flight, at the very least.
Sure.
I think he has something that is going to give him devastating warlock-type mage ranged abilities.
Okay.
Like, really devastating. Like something...
telekinesis or, like...
No, like
lightning or
like really like scary stuff.
Like dark tentacle powers or like
something like that. So I think of Tokoyami as being the hero that has a villain quirk. But it's not bad. It's not bad because, as he makes mention, there's a relationship that he has with Dark Shadow. But it's literally called Dark Shadow. If you can have a quirk called Dark Shadow in this universe, what could All for One have?
Yeah.
He could have something so terrifying.
This is making me just think of like the Bane books and what Xana had, basically.
Yes, Sith sorcery, basically. The kind of stuff to where creating a Nomu is like, well,
of course. Why not? Yeah, for sure. That's child's play.
So I think he has some kind of maybe telekinesis, something that would make him have some sort of a protective shield around him, like telekinesis.
Okay. I know he has regeneration.
Yeah. We know that it's probably not as fast
right
as like a Wolverine regeneration.
Or like a Nomu. Yeah.
Or like a Nomu. But that's the thing where it might make him very hard to kill now. Because I think in some ways the regeneration didn't solve everything. Like... his face is still like gone because All Might blew his head off, in that flashback where it was in black and white. He had all the blood and the puddle in the body there. I was like, oh my god,
that was so awesome.
That was
scary.
Like, because whatever it is, his powers are going to be strong enough to potentially kill All Might.
Right.
Like at this level where he's at, he's probably learned from his previous encounter. He has something to where he could, at the very least, slow All Might down.
So how about we make predictions about how their first matchup is going to go when he comes back? Because what I think is going to happen is that he's going to come and fight, like he's going to make an appearance. Maybe that will be when All Might fights him. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be later. But when All Might and him fight, it is going to be something where neither side wins, except for the fact that he is able to recover. All Might isn't, and then All Might will basically be gone at that point. Either he'll be dead or he won't be able to use his quirk anymore. And it's like Deku, the next time he strikes, he doesn't necessarily know that I can't use One for All anymore.
Right.
But next time he shows up, you're gonna have to fight him.
I feel like plot-wise, you can't take out All Might without taking out All for One. Like, I think they're both going to get weakened.
Sure. Okay, so maybe it ends up being something where they take out each other, but then if Shigaraki's the endgame villain for Deku, then maybe it's something where it's like, okay, All Might's killed, maybe One for All's killed too, but he's already passed on his power to Shigaraki.
I think then what they could do is, let's say they fight. What does that fight mean for the universe of MHA? It means crazy things, right?
It means
this fight would be something that the writer would want to build up to being the big of the big. So there's going to be all these other fights in conjunction with this. It's not going to be
They're getting rid of the canon fodder, basically.
Right. So what they could do is basically have it be a thing where war begins, and before it even starts, really, All for One makes a move and just completely levels a city or something like that. Like something to the something so devastating that All Might has to step in with a do or die kind of determination. Basically, a thing of where All Might's like, okay, this is it. I'm throwing everything on the line.
Yeah, this is my last battle. Yeah.
And that's where All Might can go to a point to where he loses his powers, at the very least. He might die, yes.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing with All for One is that he can't necessarily die anytime soon. I think we can break down that All for One can't die. He can lose, but he can't die because he needs to pass on to Shigaraki.
Right.
Now, how they make this work, I think that's where it's going to be tough to predict, because Shigaraki will probably be, at this point in the fight, almost useless. He will probably be so shunted to the side
that even Deku will be able to do more to help All Might than he will to help.
Yes, exactly. And I think that might be actually why the fight goes to where All for One loses, potentially.
Because Deku's there too?
Because not only is Deku there, but because Shigaraki is there. And it's where he has to keep his new vessel potentially safe.
Sure. Okay, so it could be something where basically he's like, this is a problem. He's like, Kurogiri, get us out of here.
And maybe Kurogiri, isn't around or something like that.
Okay, I was going to say that maybe that's the way that they have it end. Basically, Kurogiri is able to get them away.
Sure.
All Might spent himself. And then
Right.
And then All for One is like, okay, this is it. I'm giving you everything, Shigaraki. You have to, like...
And he's, like, broken and dying and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's basically
and
a
it's
thing
just
of
telling Kurogiri to get him out of here just so he can transfer.
Sure. And then that whole bit afterwards can be the hunt for All for One. Basically, where they're like, okay, All for One's beaten, he's weakened.
Right.
We have some intel. Maybe they bring in some people with some really useful quirks from the Heroes General Society, because if a war happens and the heroes are involved, I would love to see a battle, not battle lines literally drawn, but like I reference your book, but the Heroes Association, the Heroes Society or whatever, bringing in people with quirks that are like, we're battle ready. We are the villain fighters.
We are specifically trained to like go to war.
Not really to go to war, but to fight villains. The idea of what All Might is and what Aizawa is, we need more of those.
Yeah.
I think Snipe is an example of that.
Sure.
He uses a gun, so he's looking to, at the very least, maim someone.
Right.
But I feel like someone like Present Mike is kind of limited. He's not necessarily...
He's the cannon that they set up. Like, they're like, all right...
But a glass cannon, to say the least. You know, you're going to be blowing everyone's eardrums out in order for him to be effective.
Right. They hand out earplugs to everybody
that like double as like, you know, headsets to communicate with each other. Yeah, whatever. Hatsume Mei, you know, makes it from her bag of holding or something like that. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. Yeah. But with the fight, it's probably going to happen. I just don't think that All for One can die, and I feel like if All for One can't die, that means All Might can't really die, because they're like yin and yang. One can't exist without the other.
They could have a fight where no one, like, where it's a standoff or something like that, and they end up fighting later.
Yeah,
and that's where they die or whatever.
Sure,
but like, yes, I'm all for One can't die this season.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But
he needs to move into the background once he's come to the forefront, so that Shigaraki can become Endgame. Because we both believe Shigaraki will become Endgame. It's the question of what steps will All for One take before that, so that Shigaraki is ready to become Endgame.
So if anything...
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. So if we were thinking about this with the context of Season 3, this is going to be where things go to war, and Shigaraki is championing it, right? And then maybe at the very end, that's when it's like, okay, All for One has to step in. And it's like Sauron... Like, you know, at the Battle of Last
Alliance, yeah. Like, swinging his mace, killing heroes like it's nothing.
Right. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, this is where things are just like
dire,
right.
Yeah.
And then Season 4 will be, now that All for One is at the forefront, All Might, it's basically like, and then in that season, that will be when they take each other out.
That could be where Deku rallies the heroes of the world around him and bringing the fight to All for One, just as they're rallying the fight around them, but also preparing Shigaraki for the role that he's not ready for. And I think that's a thing that
he isn't ready.
That's the thing I think we need to notice more, is kind of where Shigaraki and Deku fit into this whole thing, because we're talking about All Might and All for One like they're these two gods coming at each other, which makes it a little impersonal. I think their fight is very personal, but I think when it comes to the students, they're looking at gods, basically.
Sure.
And even Shigaraki doesn't know All for One's motivations, as you know, said at the mall thing there. So it needs to be very intentional where they put Shigaraki, I think specifically in the story, because just like Deku, he's not ready to be the symbol that All for One is. So they both need to be either thrust into it at the same time, or Shigaraki needs to be thrust into it first. And I think that because All for One won't die, that might be delayed a little bit. And then this fight might be a big fight that weakens All Might. But again, they both have their powers.
So when One for All versus All for One, when that happens, do you think it will
the internet will break?
The internet will break, but do you think it will end up being something where we have where that's the Aang versus Ozai fight, and then Deku versus...
Remember, that's the end of a show, though.
Right, but since it's not the actual main character in the fight, it doesn't have to be. And then Deku versus Shigaraki is the Zuko versus Azula kind of fight, where basically, and that's the foreshadowing for what's to come.
Right.
And then the fight happens. Maybe All Might's beaten, and All for One's like, okay, we need to get out of here. I need to transfer my powers to you, or however they end up doing it.
Right.
And that's where they basically officially set up that the end game of this show is going to be Deku versus Shigaraki.
Yes to all what you said. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the question of which parts will be in season 3.
Right. Yeah, and that'll probably be season 4.
I think the second cour will be war. Like the beginning of it. Not the finale, the whole thing.
You're right.
But the way MHA is extremely efficient in its storytelling, the first big battle could be over and done
before the first half of the show.
Well, no, like before the show is over, like the season is over, basically.
Sure.
Like not like a battle, like whatever is going to happen at the training place.
Sure, but like this is officially war.
Yeah. Now it's losses have been sustained on both sides. Damage has been done.
Yeah.
The world has changed. Big things are happening, and then it's just a question of where do we go from here? And I get the feeling that they can have really big things happen within a short number of episodes and kind of surprise us with how quickly this can turn into something that we're not really prepared for.
Okay.
And having Shigaraki be endgame means that he kind of has to make it through this just as much as Deku does.
Yeah. That's fine.
I feel like we don't really have the best handle on All for One yet.
Right.
And when we get into All for One stuff, that's when we can start to predict with greater accuracy like what that first big encounter is like.
Sure.
But I can tell that if they do have a desire to up the ante, like if the writer was looking at what he'd done in the story thus far, and he's like, what do we fit into season 3?
Yeah.
He's like, we gotta up the ante off of 210. We have to beat 210 like soundly.
Right.
All for One versus All Might would obliterate the bar.
Yeah.
It's like, the bar's been set really high by 210. Haha, that's a good one. Plus ultras through the bar
to 50
and into space, you know. So that'll be exciting. That'll be pretty cool. I think the other theories we can bring up a little bit is if they go through the summer training
camp,
little deal there, and if villains show up there, how do they transition into the remaining part of the story without a decisive, like, we have to do a thing? Because that's my thing is, I think that the villains are going to shape season 3.
I think so too.
That the season will be the heroes reacting to the villains' choices, and then
because the heroes aren't going to be the ones that start the war.
No. But I'm meaning that whereas in season 2, the heroes were self-contained in their own bubble to where Stain's actions were a little bit of a reactive bit.
But even then, that was contained to a very small
portion.
Yeah.
So I think this will be the opposite.
Right. Season 2 was the good guys preparing for the eventual war. Season 3 will be the actual war beginning.
Right. And we will get very little slice of life, My Hero Academia at the school stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like when we do get that, it'll feel like a breath of fresh air. And we'll be like...
If anything, I think that'll be the calm before the storm.
Right. I want to know if we can predict what that will be around, because I think they could do it at the end of the season. Like, kind of, the first battle is over.
I think they'll do it around the middle of the season. Basically, they'll... So there's the training camp. There might be some stuff with Toga and Dabi. And that'll be in, like, the first half for the most part. Right.
Well, I think Toga and Dabi will be a part of the group that goes to the training part, the summer training part.
Oh, to attack there?
To attack.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because they built them up and they showed the other group.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And they won't necessarily get defeated there and they're out of the story. But I think that basically
they'll succeed, but they'll also have to run away.
The first half of the story will be skirmishes basically, where people realize that like there's a war coming, but the kids don't actually understand what that means. How terrible
but
it's going
the adults are freaking out and drawing battle plans.
Yeah, they're drawing battle plans, whereas the kids are like, "Oh no, but this is all right. Yeah, we're ready for this. Like, oh, this is terrible, but we're gonna be okay."
No, but what happens to the kids after that? That's the thing where I'm thinking I'm a little bit concerned for Deku, because Shigaraki either by chance or somehow knew Deku was going to be at that mall, had the encounter, and the fact that encounter happened so easily, so casually, the amount of data they have to have on 1A or on just being able to predict the movements of 1A, I think does lend credence to the traitor theory we had
especially
back in season
Toga.
1.
Or not Toga,
Toru. We really like the invisible girl is like secretly bad theory. But anyways, the
screen time.
Yeah, for sure. But the aftermath has to be something where the good guys lose something. They basically have something that escalates the conflict.
Right, and I think that could be where the first half of season 2 or season 3 starts. The idea is that the first half of season 3, they're like, okay, they attacked again, but we defeated them. We've grown, all that stuff. You know, it's been 5 years, and now we're like, right, and then boom, Colossal Titan shows up. Yeah. So and in that calm before the storm, that's where we could have a dance arc or whatever. You know, like a couple episodes where it's like, okay, like calmer stuff.
So have you thought about the trauma aspect?
Yes.
I actually think that's going to be what it'll be, is that season 3 will delve into the psychological stress of just being in a conflict with adults that are trying to kill you.
Right, and I think that's what the second half of season 3 will be about. Once they actually get into that and they realize, oh, we were not prepared. We thought we knew what we were getting into, but we really, really don't. That's where it'll come in, and the ending of season 3 will not be a happy one. It will not be a cheerful one.
No, I don't think it will be either. I think that we had enough happy endings thus far to where we could have more, but we don't need them.
And in fact, I would say now would be an opportune time.
Yes.
I mean, heck, season 3 being like something where everything goes wrong for the good guys, like
we haven't seen that anywhere before.
We've never seen that.
Yeah. Oh. So with this story moving in such a way that will, I think, bring 1A as a class like really tight together. Like I think
nothing like struggle and
nothing like struggle. Yeah, exactly. So what new kind of connections, relationships, like kind of dynamics do you think will get like brought together because of this really like crazy thing? Because I actually think one of the ones they're hinting at by something that they showed at the end of season 2 is a little bit of the Bakugo Deku dynamic. I feel like they will the mutual foe will focus their drive towards something, because that's kind of what All Might was. But
okay,
go
all right.
Psychic energy,
picture this.
All right,
so the Deku basically, as he's been shown to do, he helps other people be heroes. But the problem is that he is not ready for war.
Okay.
Bakugo is.
Sure.
Bakugo is, when like he'll think of the idea.
He'll adapt nicely.
He'll adapt nicely and very quickly.
Sure.
And I can see something happening where basically Bakugo calls out Deku and says, hey, they're looking up to you. You need to man up. You need to get out there because listen. And he basically gives Deku the chilling, like, realistic talk where it's like, no, this is a fight for blood, and you need to be ready to do some. You need to be ready to go all in, like, and that's not necessarily how Deku will say it, or Bakugo will say it. He'll say it in some completely different way, but it'll basically be this awesome way where it will show
man up,
and it'll show how they've gotten closer because Bakugo is actually talking to Deku, right, of his own accord, and it will show how basically Bakugo's how much Deku actually does need to learn from Bakugo.
Yes.
And it will foreshadow them being an awesome dynamic duo together.
Because they are going to be a dynamic duo. It's not going to be a rehash of the Endeavor
they will be
All Might situation.
Dynamite.
Yeah, funny.
Nitroglycerin.
I think that the other one that needs to be brought into the forefront a little bit is all the girls in Class 1A need to basically find their own bonding kind of group time. Not necessarily like to isolate them, and specifically the girls, but as you've noticed, there is this core group of guys that have kind of naturally started to bond together, like Deku, Todoroki, and Ida. Yeah. And bringing in more of those guys together, but also for the girls in particular, I think having them have those little like moments, also specifically because they could go with the trope of like kind of like what Mineta, the pervert was planning, was that the girls are going to be there as well, but they'll probably have the girls a little bit segregated from the guys in terms of the like the boarding, the rooms, like where they're staying and stuff.
Oh, for the training.
right. Bit. But that little aspect. So, say if they get attacked there, you could have the girls getting attacked at their spot.
Right, and they have separate locations, so separate battles, hence them being able to bond together.
Right, exactly.
I like it.
That would be a really cool bit, especially... This is the development actually I was thinking of, was Uraraka the leader. Uraraka has had battle training. A lot of the others have not.
That's
Uraraka has been kind of inspired in such a way by specific guys in the group that are kind of like leaders, but she is of herself a very kind of like wavering in terms of her commitment to kind of specific things. So it would be cool to see her suddenly like absolutely swell up and be like, I got this.
And they have established in this season that she actually acknowledged to herself, that's something I need to do.
Right.
Okay, now here's a crazy little idea.
Okay.
Right? When there are these split up battles,
right,
it won't be just guys on one side and just girls on the other side.
Correct. Yes.
Mineta will be on the girls' side because he was trying to be a pervert. So when the villains attack,
Mineta will be with like Momo and Jiro or something.
Yeah.
I would actually like some of the dynamics that they hinted at of characters that kind of, they jive pretty well together to kind of be brought into this whole dynamic.
Like Jiro and Kaminari? Or
like Ojiro and Toru.
Yes,
like having them basically end up like fighting alongside each other.
Even though they don't know it.
Yeah, she's like, Ojiro has a really nice tail, if you know what I'm saying. Right there.
No, Ojiro's like fighting and stuff, and then suddenly his tail like feels something. He's like, what?
She's like, sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah. Or it's like some villain that like is knocked out and like slumps onto his tail, and he freaks out, and like Toru waves her gloves like, yeah, I got your back, Ojiro. And it's like, whoa, that's legit. The other thing I really want to see is the shonen power-ups done right in this instance.
Okay.
Where we see characters that it makes sense to have their quirk application, usage, and intelligence with that grow in a way
like
that they learn. Oh.
Like if they get attacked, it'll probably be at night, and we'll get to see, because they don't know much about the quirks of the people, right?
Oh.
And we could get to see Dark Shadow go nuts.
I didn't even think about that. Wait a minute. Wait. When he was in the biome in USJ, it was darker there, right?
Yes.
And he was
like a storm
people.
area. Yeah, and he was destroying
now, I think
them.
because it's not sunlight versus nighttime, like it's not daytime versus nighttime, it's just light versus darkness.
Yeah.
That explains why at USJ he was so strong.
Right.
He was actually in a natural environment for him where the light was restricted.
Exactly.
And Koda was the bait, whereas Dark Shadow would just come in and smash people. If it's dark, we could see him utilize his quirk
and it makes sense for
in
them
a really
to attack
impactful
at night.
way.
It makes sense for them to attack at night, especially if we've got someone that has some vampiric seeming sort of quirk and a mummy zombie dude.
But okay. I like the idea of attacking at night, but I also think that it might make sense for them to attack when they just least expect it. Like they're out and about training and stuff, and then suddenly, one of the students just gets grabbed, and it's like, oh crap, we're being attacked.
They could do that. It would probably be a lot easier to animate, but
Also, I just wanted to bring up, if they have a traitor in their midst, they would know about all the quirks by now.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe they're overconfident and they attack at night anyway, or maybe because we've never seen what Tokoyami's quirk at night really does. The thing that
because the other person that is their secret agent or whatever, if they do have one, right? They wouldn't know about Tokoyami's weakness and specialties though, because he's only told Koda and Deku and the people on their cavalry team.
See, when the students are watching the tournament fight between Tokoyami and Bakugo, a lot of them saw how Bakugo is fighting, and they talked about it, being like, "Oh wow, that's rough for Tokoyami." I think that they might know about his weakness, but I don't think that the villains are going to show up with like Momo gadgets specifically
for Tokoyami,
for like any of the people's quirks and stuff. Maybe just for Deku. I would love to see. I would love to see someone with a quirk that is specifically used for like apprehending Deku, like a really, really useful kind of not villain type quirk necessarily. Like something that's an immobilizing thing, kind of like how we were talking about Kurapika's, cleric binding potential thing.
Right.
But in this, have it be something where there's a myriad of quirks, and there's not necessarily all of them that are villain type things. But yes, characters that could have power-ups, Tokoyami. Momo?
Sure, yeah. If she can prepare, then yeah.
I think Bakugo getting another power-up makes a lot of sense because he recently had that moment where he was kind of peeved that Deku used a lot of his moves and stuff.
Right.
So
and they showed in the tournament that he's just constantly basically improving himself.
Right. Yes.
Now, let's see.
I think that's a huge portion of the theories that we have for now. I think we're going to go and look at the questions really quick and then kind of start to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Let's go and take a look here.
All right. How do we think Bakugo's family is going to be? Morahau. Or Maria de la Morahau.
They're going to explain a lot of reasons why Bakugo is the way it is. Yeah. That's the main thing I
am very excited to see it.
I get the idea that one of the parents is going to be over the top, and then the other one's just going to have an insane quirk.
Sure.
Or
they might be complete opposites of Bakugo, and that's why he became the way he was. Who knows?
Yeah. If All Might was the biggest hero who was the one beforehand, and since the quirks are lumped, does that mean that Midori will also be able to transform in the future?
I
don't know. It's not definite though, right?
Yeah, but that is a good question. Like, since One for All is such a big deal, I would certainly expect there to be some impact where people the previous One for All holder would have at least had a lot of renown in the hero community, even if it wasn't the same extent as All Might.
And Adam McLeod, I suppose the League of Villains arcs wrap up in the next few seasons. Where do you think it will go next in both the classroom and the world?
I think by the time the whole League of Villains thing is wrapped up, there won't be any class.
Well, no. I think one of the points of the show is that it will always be My Hero Academia.
Okay.
And it'll be learning about what it means to be a hero. But UA will probably be less of a focus. But if it is
UA cratered.
No.
Like, that would be the ultimate, just like, nowhere's safe.
No, I think that you can actually infer a little bit that UA will evolve, and it will be our perspective on UA.
Okay.
But they're going to make UA bigger rather than just destroy it.
Fair enough.
Since the exam went to the whole school, do you think perhaps 2B will be there? And would that excite you? What do you think they could do with them if that was the case? I think they'll be there. Didn't they say that they were preparing for the same thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know like how they're going to bring it up in the story, but that could be kind of cool. That's a lot of characters to handle in one place, but
that's a lot that could die.
Yeah. All right, let's go check here. Jan Linglam, do you see any of the villains defecting to the heroes or vice versa? Ooh, well, we mentioned the Kurogiri defection. If Kurogiri had enough reason to, I could see him defecting because he's so useful to the villains right now.
Right.
Also because his quirk is one that isn't necessarily evil.
Right. There could also be a Stain faction split, but they wouldn't actually be siding with the good guys. They'd just be doing their own thing, I think. So
yeah, I could see people defecting to the villains, but it's not necessarily going to be people we care about right now. Not the ones we care about right now. Swift Widget asks, All Might mention One for All can be forced on someone. Do you think he just heard of that or knows from experience? Oh.
That's right.
I didn't think about that.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
It's kind of the idea of he was saying like shoving a gift on someone. No, take it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
He doesn't necessarily mean it literally. I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I get it. But he could have been basically saying that I need whoever is the next One for All holder to be someone that grabs it with both hands, that really wants this.
Maybe.
Because that's too much power to give to someone that when they don't want it.
I have an idea. The reason why All Might was quirkless was because the previous One for All holder had it forced upon her, and she gives it to All Might because he's the exact version of maybe how the new One for All lineage should be. It shouldn't be about urgency. Because here, think about it this way. Imagine All for One is hunting all the One for All people.
Yeah.
And they have to keep shoving it onto someone else so that they don't get killed.
Right.
And keep it in hiding. That could be a way where they force it onto someone who's not necessarily ready. But now that One for All is strong enough, they have the luxury of being able to think about, no, we should give it to someone who is truly worthy, because we've had some issues in the past.
Well, and it could also be something where because they're giving it to someone who actually is accepting it, not someone who just has to bear it as a burden.
Right.
Maybe that's why All Might turned into All Might.
Yeah, I agree. That makes perfect sense. What do you think of the black and white screen cap of All Might kneeling by All for One's bloody body? It
absolutely
looks
amazing.
Oh, it's very terrifying to think about All Might going that far, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Caleb, remember the manga is well ahead of the anime, and it's not necessarily written with the anime in mind. It's very much up to Bones as their rate of adaptation, what they think should be used as episode core, climaxes, cliffhangers. Gotcha.
That's true, but I'm sure that
I'm aware that was the case, but I think that the writer might help Bones a little bit by saying, hey, here's a good spot to figure out where the episode. This is what I was kind of planning on having them be separated as. Do you think Bakugo's loudness can be partly attributed to the repetitive explosions that happen right next to his ears?
Yes.
I love that.
I love it.
That's so funny, Cav. Good question.
Well, now, but they have established that he has some resistance to his own explosions. He doesn't actually, no. They established that he has resistance, but it's something that was built up. Like his body adapting to the explosions and stuff. Yep. So hence why he's such a sturdy feller.
That's a very good point. Not sure you answered this earlier when I was away, so just check. Sakari asks, you guys mentioned the possibility of the new villains becoming rivals to some of the students. Which of the students do you think would benefit most from having a villain rival? Oh, whoa, jinx.
So,
Deku, because of Shigaraki.
Right, but he already does have a...
Bakugo.
Yes, that was the one that initially came to mind.
I want to say some of the girls like Uraraka.
But yeah, I want the girls to have... Yeah, I want Uraraka to have a rival. I think that's the best one, because Ida... Possibly, I don't think so. Bakugo, he has enough rivals right now.
And Todoroki already has his rival right now, so he doesn't need one.
Right.
But you know what's funny? They introduced a young female villain recently.
I know.
And I think that there's something there.
And I could totally see, like if she is trying to infiltrate, UA at some point, or Uraraka just seeing her and be like, something's not right. Deku-kun, stay close.
Yeah. Gorgonfish asked, did you notice how similar All for One's doctor sounded to the doctor who examined Deku in episode 1? Wait, are they trying to insinuate that they're the same person? What? What? That seems like a good crackpot theory that I would come up with when I was dreaming at
it's the same voice actor.
Same voice actor. Oh, shoot.
Maybe it's like the merchant in Ruby, you know?
or something else. I think that's the case only if the doctor doesn't really mean anything. like when all's said and done, the doctor is not that big of a character.
Both have a mustache.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
it must
confirmed.
be the same person.
Yep.
Yeah, no one voices two characters in an anime ever. That's just not a thing.
Yeah, and mustaches are evil. We know
that's
this.
true, especially gotees and mustaches.
Goatees and mustaches.
This is serious stuff. Sorry, Cav, we're taking it seriously, but I don't know how important that is, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I think that's most of the questions for now. Guys, let us know. This is basically this is sarcastic. No worries. Let us know if you have any final questions. We really enjoyed MHA, and we really love how well they've crafted these shonen tropes in such a way to be really really impactful when they're delivered. So we're looking forward for April. We will be doing a reaction series on it.
Oh yeah.
We don't care if there will be an open slot or not. We'll just do it.
Do it
Because MHA, and we're going to be hyped. And this will be our first time reacting live to MHA.
It will be. It's going to be amazing.
Good.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah, but guys, shout out in the comments. Mods will pass them on to us if you have serious business. I will put up pictures.
Oh boy.
Hey, if that's a big theory, then I'm all for reading into it and stuff. It doesn't look like there are many questions coming in, but Jacob and I kind of have to go.
We do.
We've been live streaming for over 4 hours, not counting the
blue screen of death.
That blue screen moment, which was pretty crazy.
That
323 people still in here.
You guys are absolute troopers.
You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on in here and just hanging out with us and just listening to us talk about MHA. And it was a lot of fun. Really wishing you all happy holidays.
That's right. It's almost the nondescript winter holiday.
We're gonna celebrate Christmas and stuff. Yeah. We're doing the Ruby Chibi joke, and I think some people don't watch Ruby Chibi, so they
were like, "What are you doing? This is stupid." Yeah. April cannot come soon enough, though.
April cannot come soon enough.
It really can't.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, as always, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob,
and we'll see you all next time.